This video will show you how to configure iRemind in iPatient Care. Now, this is the system that allows you to send notifications or reminders to your patients. And so we'll go through of how you configure what the messages will say, how far in advance that information, those reminders will go out, and some other configuration settings as well. At the time of this video, we still need to go into the admin area to be able to make these configuration changes. If you need assistance getting into that area, feel free to reach out and let us know. If you're on the new platform, you will still need to go into this existing administration area to be able to sign in and make these changes. So hopefully this screen looks a little familiar to you. It's possible someone in your office, such as an office manager, also has this access as well. You'll want to sign in with your username and password, and just make sure you have the administration area selected for you to sign in, and then go ahead and log in. I'm actually already signed in here to the admin area, and where we're going to begin with is being able to configure what the message says, what those messages going out will say on the patient side. So to do that, we're going to click on Masters at the top, and then we're going to go down to iRemind Master, and then select iRemind Message Configuration. Now, if this is the first time you're in here, or maybe it's not, you've been in here several times before, generally there's going to be some templates that are pre-built and come in here as a default for you. And we have that now. As you can see, there's a text template for text messages. We have a voice template for voice phone calls, and a template for emails. And you notice as I clicked each one down here below, you'll see that main area change, and you'll kind of get an idea of what is going to go out, what that message is going to look like. So just clicking on the text message reminder right now, you can see we have the reminder type set to SMS confirm appointment reminder. And you can see how this is built out. Currently it's kind of grayed out because we've already saved it this way, but just showing you what it looks like. You can see there's even placeholders that allow us to customize a message. For example, in this text message, we have a placeholder for patient first name and last name, the appointment time slot, the appointment date, location, and so on, even the office's phone number. So that's very easy to put that in, and we do that by using sections and data elements off to the right-hand side. So we'll show you how that works in just a bit. For voice phone calls, we have something similar. As you can see, you can put in those same or similar data elements, and this is the information that will come through with a voice phone call. And then finally, for an email, similarly, we can format and type that up just like we'd be sending an email and put in those data elements in that. So again, these will likely be here for you already. If you like what you see or just want to make a few tweaks to what you already have, you can click on that line and then choose Modify, and then make whatever changes are necessary by simply typing into the message body of most of these types. But just to show you what this looks like, making one from scratch, I'm going to click on the New button here. And we'll go through and make a sample one. So we'll call this template text2. We've already got a text up above, so we'll just use this as an example. Template type. Now this is pretty much always going to be appointment. Now this reminder type is something that we want to explain for just a second here. Email is pretty straightforward. If you want to program an email type of communication, that's very simple. You just simply select email. But you'll notice you have a couple options for SMS text messages and a number of options for voice phone calls. First of all, for SMS, you'll notice the only difference here is this word here. It says confirm appointment reminder, or it just says personal appointment reminder. If we select personal appointment reminder, this is really just that. It's just going to be a notification to the patient. And you'll notice down below, it's all just white. There's nothing at the bottom here. But if I switch this to SMS confirm appointment reminder, well, now down here in red, we have some additional options that activate when this text message goes out that allows the end user, the patient, to be able to, in a sense, have a communication back. So with this system as it currently is, we can inform the patient that they can reply with a 5 to confirm, a 4 to cancel, or 6 to reschedule. So we have the option of making use of those or not using them at all, but that's up to us. But in this case, we can simply type in what we want. I'll leave it at this confirm appointment reminder, and we'll just start building this out. So generally, we want to start off by thinking, what do we want to inform our patient of, or what do we want to say? Oftentimes, we want to use their personal name. So I'm going to start off by saying hi, and then use their first name in this example. So at the right-hand side, we can start to think about where would that information reside in the EHR. And chances are you honed in on patient demographics. So that's exactly where that patient's name is going to reside in the EHR. So we select that main category under this subsection at the top right. And then down below, that shows us what available data elements we have that we can plug into our message body. So there's going to be a lot of data elements, and chances are we're going to use only just a handful. In this case, we just want to find the patient first name. So I'm going to go down to that location, and we can double click when we find an element that we want to use. So we can say hi, and then it'll put in that patient first name for us. We don't want to adjust any of these arrows next to the patient first name. That's coded there, so it pulls in that name properly. And then we can just type out what else we want to say. So here I've come to another point where we want to specify the time frame of the appointment. Well, maybe you've guessed at the upper right hand area here for section and subsection, we're going to want to select appointment because the date and time is going to be tied to the appointment we've made for this patient. And here I have appointment date. So I'll double click that so that it puts that in there for us. So this is to remind you of your appointment on a certain date. And we can say at, and then put in appointment time slot. So we've built out just our first sentence here. Now, if we wanted to, because we have the confirm type of reminder, we could put in some information to allow the patient to respond back. So we could enter in a text to convey that message. All right, so now that the patient is aware of what they can do, they could reply with the number 5 that would signify a confirmation, or a 4 to cancel. As you notice, we could leave it at that. I could completely not even mention that they could put 6 to reschedule. So it's up to you what information you pass along for the patient that they can do. So this is built out now. We could essentially hit OK, and it would save this template here as one that we can use. Now just know that in a little bit we'll actually go through how far in advance that this patient will be notified, the time frames as well. But right now we're just focusing on the message itself. So essentially you want to go through and build out, I'm just going to cancel this one because we do already have a text message above. But you want to build out a text message, a voice phone call if you will use that. Build that out the way you want it, along with an email. Build that out the way you want it as well. So once you have that information just the way you like it, you can hit OK and done. And I'm going to exit out of here as well. Now the next step is we're going to actually go to Masters again at the top left and click on iRemind Master. And now we're going to go to the next option here. We're actually going to click on Template, iRemind Template. So we've already indicated the message that we want, but this allows us to bring in multiple reminders together. So maybe we want to inform patients both by a phone call and a text message, or maybe a text message and an email, whatever combination. This is where we can bring those together and also designate when that will go out. So you can see up above here, here's the templates that we make. And below is where we bring in the individual templates we made in the previous window. And we can set how far in advance that notification will go out. So for example, if I click on phone and email, you can see below here, we have confirm appointment reminder voice. and personal reminder, appointment reminder email. So those are both going to go out one day before. Essentially, what you want to do in this window, though, is at least make one template that's going to apply to the majority of your patients, because we're going to set essentially one of these as the default. But in addition to that, it's good to also be able to make one for just text message only, as you can see, or just voice only, just email only, because maybe you have certain patients that's the only kind of communication they want, and we do have a way to set an exception patient by patient for the kind of communication they would like. So we'll show you that in just a bit. Just to show you how this works, I'll click on New here to make a new template. We'll give it a name. Perhaps I'll call this one, we already have one above called email and text, but just to show you what that looks like, we'll make another one, or act like we're going to make another one. And here we'll select appointment, not many options to choose from. So after giving it a name at the bottom here, we're going to click on New. And let's start off with an email. So we already built this email in the previous window. So now we're essentially just referencing that at this stage. So we're going to send to self, but it does allow you to send it to others if that's desired. Mode is automatically selected for us. Notification type, this allows us to say how far in advance. Do we want to send it on the same day? Let's in this case say we're going to send an email 3 days before the appointment. And then our final drop down is just email. That's going to put that message in the email for us. Okay, so we've got the email. Now we're going to click New below and program the text message. So we're going to use the text message confirm. In this case, we could use the other one, just the notification as well. That is up to us. We'll say send to self again. You notice mode mobile is already selected. And maybe when in this case, we'll say send on the same day. And they get that reminder that same day. But you could choose whatever you feel is best for your practice. So we'll hit OK. All right, so essentially that's it. We've programmed an email and text template. If I were to hit OK and save that, it would go up to the top area for us to be able to use at a later stage here in just a minute. But so you should be able to see how easy it is to build and communicate or customize how you communicate with your patients and what forms of communication. So I'm going to hit cancel here though, because we already have that above. So once we've built that template, the final stage for us is to be able to go in and set the default type that's going to go out to the majority of your patients. So for us to do that, we're going to go to Tools, and then we're going to select Preferences, and then we're going to go to iRemind Template Preferences. Okay, some of this is pre-filled out for us under iRemind credentials. There's a URL, username, password. Generally, that's going to be put in for us and grayed out, so we're not even going to be making changes there. But just below that is very important. So this is the business hours. This allows us to set the time frame that reminder messages will go out. And so you can set the earliest time of the day and how late in the day that those reminders would go out. Down below, if you're going to be sending out email notifications, that's where you would set the SMTP credentials. So to be able to send an email as if it's coming from your email address, you have to plug in not only your email, but some other details to authenticate emails coming from you essentially through our iPatient Care system. Now, you may need help or assistance from us to be able to configure that, or your local IT person if you have one. So just reach out and we're happy to assist you with that. But at the upper right-hand side, you will not need to configure EIA thread settings, so you can leave that. But under types of reminders, this is very important. From the previous window we were just in, where we made the various templates, this is where you select the default one that will apply to all of your patients. So simply select the one you want here. What do you want all your patients to receive? And that will be the default. So we'll hit OK. I haven't made any changes at this stage, so I'm just going to hit cancel. At this point, we've now set up iRemind, but we want to make you aware of some patient-specific things. So we're actually going to go into the patient demographics and show you a couple things there. Okay, I've got iPatient Care up, and this is the new platform. And what we're going to do is actually go into a particular patient record, their demographics. So on the left-hand side, I would just navigate to Open Chart, and you could find and just select a patient's demographics to open up. I'm just going to pick this one because it's easy, Linda Abbott here, and I'm going to click this Edit button to open her up. All right, so what we want to make notice or take notice of is on the right-hand side here, we've got some phone numbers and email, and something we wanted to draw attention to is this preferred mode selection. Now, some clinics wonder if this is tied to iRemind, and it is not. This selection here is just for your internal staff to know what's the best way to communicate with the patient, but whatever you select here has no bearing on iRemind reminders, so just keep that in mind. But what we did want to draw your attention to is these phone numbers here. Now, if you have one of your reminders set out to voice call, whatever phone number is listed first in this list here, that's the phone number that will be voice called. Now, if you're sending a text message, an SMS text message, whatever number has the first, or whatever the first mobile option, that's actually what's going to go out for a text message. So if you have this set to mobile or also cellular or cell phone, that's what's going to be the first one to be able to receive a text message. So in this case, if we had reminders going out for voice and text messages, the first number here, the home phone, would actually be the one to be dialed for the voice, but the mobile number is the one that would, in this case, be set to get the text message. So just keeping that in mind as you consider your order of phone numbers here. The final thing we want to draw our attention to is this bell icon at the right. This allows you to, if I click on this, here you can actually communicate an exception. So if this patient should not get communication the way the rest of the patients are, or whatever that default is that we set up in the admin area, you can change that for this patient. So you simply click this drop down, the available options would display, and you could choose instead of maybe text messages, you could set just email or phone and email or whatever you want for this patient. Additionally, if you don't want this patient to receive any iRemind messages, you could check this checkbox and then they would be opted out of that. Well, that completes our training. We hope you feel more comfortable now in configuring your patient reminders and notifications. Thanks so much for watching.